Ladies and gentlemen, PC and console captains alike, my name is Phoenix and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing the T6 support cruiser, the Narendra class. Starting off with bridge officer stations, you have an ensign tactical, a lieutenant tactical, a commander engineering / temporal operative, a lieutenant commander science, and a lieutenant commander universal. For consoles, you have 4 engineering, 3 tactical, and 3 science. For weapons, you have 4 in the front and 4 in the aft, a base hull of 60,750, shield modifier of 1, base turn rate of 7, and 4 device slots. You also get what is known as the molecular reconstruction. It gives you 3 abilities: defensive configuration, offensive configuration, and support configuration. And with this is the defensive configuration provides a boost to maximum shield power and incoming hull healing, and it comes at a small cost of a reduction to flight speed and turn rate, and generates 1 defensive counter every 10 seconds. The offensive provides a boost to maximum engine power, speed, and turn rate. It also comes with a small reduction cost of incoming healing, and you generate 1 offensive counter every 10 seconds. The support configuration provides a boost to maximum auxiliary power, control strength, and exotic damage. This comes at a small reduction to energy weapon damage. Support configurations generate 1 support counter every 10 seconds. And then you have the molecular deconstruction beam. Activating this ability requires a total of 6 counters generated by defense configuration, offensive configuration, or support configuration. Molecular deconstruction beams deals physical damage over time and disables the target, in addition to healing your hull over time as well. This power damage scales with the number of offensive counters consumed. Its hull healing scales with the number of defensive counters, and lastly, its disabled duration scales with the number of support counters consumed. Activating this ability will consume all offensive, defensive, and support counters generated from configuration. You also get +5 to all power. You get the Universal Console, the Temporal Trajectory Shifter. You also get the Cruiser Communications Array, and you get all 4 of them. So that is Strategic Maneuvering, Shield Frequency Modulation, Weapon System Efficiency, and Attract Fire. Okay, so before I go into my loadout, I'm going to talk about the ship mastery. So at tier 1, you get a Zord of hull plating, which gives you +25 to physical and kinetic damage resistance. At tier 2, you get rapid repairs, which regenerates 1,237.8 hull, 1.25% of your current max, every 3 seconds in space. Twice this amount is regenerated out of combat. At tier 3, you get enhanced hull plating, which gives you +25 energy and radiation damage resistance ratings. At tier 4, you get armored hull, which gives you +10% hull hit points. And finally, tier 5, you get the History Will Remember trait. So for each foe that damages you, gain 1 stack of History Will Remember, 30 stacks max, which grants the following until you leave the map: 1% of all damage, plus 1% of hull regen, increase maximum hull by 1%, plus 10% threat generation only while threatening stance is activated. So this is my current loadout. It will be changing in the near future, but to start off with the 4 weapons, I have 3 Advanced Fleet Anti-Proton Beam Arrays with critical hit and damage times 3. I have the Crystalline Energy Torpedo Launcher. For Deflector, I have the Elite Fleet Intervention Protomatter Deflector Array. For the Impulse, I have the Solonate Hyper Efficiency Impulse. For the Warp Core, I have the Cabali Field Stabilizing Warp Core. For shields, I have the Elite Fleet Channeling Covariant Shield Array. And for the aft weapons, I have 2 Omnidirectional Anti-Proton Beam Arrays, the Kinetic Cutting Beam, and then an Advanced Fleet Anti-Proton Beam Array. For my device slots, I have a shield battery, temporal negotiator, red matter capacitor, and subspace field modulation. For engineering consoles, I have conductive RCS accelerator, the hydrodynamics compensator, and the sustained radiant field. For my science consoles, I have the exotic particle field exciter, the assimilated module, and the 0-point energy conduit. And for finally tactical consoles, I have the vulnerability locators. Here's the universal console, the temporal trajectory shifter. So the passive ability is you get plus 10 to defense rating and plus 50 starship scientific readiness, which improves science bridge officer cooldowns. When you activate the ability, which is called Borrow Time, it steals weapon haste, defense, and cooldowns. So to the foe within 15 seconds max, it does 483.3 physical damage, which ignores shields per second. Weapon firing speed slowed down to 33.3%. The ability cooldowns slowed by 1% per second, minus 50 defense rating. And to yourself, it does weapon firing speed hasted by 50%, ability cooldowns hasted by 20%, and plus 50 defense rating. So this is my current set for skills, mostly in engineering and in science, basically with the shield restoration and hull capacity and whatnot, just to boost all that up. And I do have some tactical, which is just to help with some damage. Here are my traits. So I have imposing presence, molecular defense specialist, elusive, particle defense specialist, grace under fire, shield technician, impact defense specialist, techie, and shield frequency analyst. For my starship traits, I have the history will remember, which I've already gone over, the adaptive hull plating, the exotic particle shielding, and honor dead. For my space reputation, I have strengthening shielding, velocity attenuators, superior shield repair, and enhanced shield systems. So for my bridge officer loadout here, I have for my ensign tactical, the Tactical Team 1. For my Lieutenant Tactical, I have Torpedo Spread 1 and Fire at Will 2. For my Lieutenant Commander Science, I have Transfer Shield Strength 1, Tractor Beams 2, and Gravity Well 1. And for my Lieutenant Commander Universal, I decided to go with the Science, so I have Hazard Emitters 1, Science Team 2, and Feedback Pulse 2. For my Commander Engineering / Temporal Operative, I've only went with engineering abilities at this point in time. So I have Emergency Powers Weapons 1, Engineering Team 2, Auxiliary Power to Structural Integrity Field 2, and Reverse Shield Polarity 3. Alright, here we go. So I'm activating Threatening Stance and everything else. Problem with being a tank, which is what this is designed to do, and threaten everyone, is just take the hits and have the enemies hit me. So I'm not sure. Okay, so someone's taking care of those ones. That's fine. Oop, I need some shields. So I'm not even running the parser on this just because this is mainly just to handle just whatchamacallit, just to be a tank and help everyone out. Come on. Problem with getting across here and being targeted. Okay. I have to do that because there's no way in how I'm going to be able to get across there. So we're going to activate that. So you'll see the blue thingy coming around here. Oh, that pulse, maybe that will help a little bit. Okay. Thank goodness for grace under fire. Oh crap. Ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh. There we go. Alright, there we are. We almost didn't survive that. So, we were getting hammered by both the Gateway and the Borg Tactical Cube. Alright, there we go. Alright. So this guy did a parse for us, and I did 10.27k. That's not too bad because I wasn't going for DPS. I was going for tanking. So that's not bad. Alright, so my final thoughts on the Narendra support cruiser is it is not a bad ship. I'm actually rather impressed with the ship. Again, I really haven't spent that much time with it. Like I have with all my other ships. However, even just using a sort of new build where I am just tanking and only strictly tanking, because that's what a support cruiser would really be doing, is just aggroing and tanking and making sure that, you know, the enemies that are focusing on myself and not on those that are actually doing damage. The things that I rather like about it is the molecular reconstruction abilities. Those are fairly neat. Yes, they do have a drawback, but the drawback is not going to be detrimental in any sort of way, and you can switch them at almost at any point. I think there's about a 10-second cooldown. Along with the communications array, they work very, very well hand in hand. The other thing is the console slots on the Narendra is, I would say, it's fairly balanced, where you have 4 engineering, 3 science, and 3 tactical. That's fairly balanced in my books. The bridge officer seating is not too bad. However, I would prefer a lieutenant commander tactical instead of a lieutenant commander universal. I think the universal should have been a lieutenant, and that way the lieutenant commander tactical, you're able to, I think you would be able to balance out the bridge officer seating a little bit more than I have been with this vessel. I found that either I could go more tactical heavy or more science, and in this case I went with more science because you know, with all the abilities to, you know, heal myself or others, and I believe I was trying to do that in the event, the PvE queue. But overall, it's not a bad ship. I will talk more about the design in a later video, but yeah, it's a decent ship. Should you go out and purchase this particular ship for 3,000 Zen, or the pack for 4,000 Zen? Again, I will always leave that up to you as a decision, whether that's something that you want to go out and get. Obviously, I would always suggest you get it on sale if you can, or grind out the dilithium and then get the Zen that way, and then that way you're not spending your hard-earned cash purchasing a ship. You can just use your Zen to purchase it. Well, that is it for today's video, and as always, I'd love to hear from you. Do you have this ship? If so, do you love it or do you hate it? If not, are you going to get it, or are you going to pass on this ship? Also, let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the comments that I made about this ship. Let me know your answers and any questions you have down in the comment section below, and as always, thank you for watching, live long and prosper, and we'll see you out there.